I'm sorry, Michigan. Gentleman from Michigan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. People in my district woke up one day, sometime late last year, and found out that the world as they knew it economically was going to end because someone had done something wrong to seize up the credit markets. And since that time, they've witnessed disorder in the sense of the government's response. They've perceived this to be an unjust appropriation of their money spent on the very people who caused the problem. And they see a long-term loss of economic freedom due to government intervention. And most importantly, they don't see much benefit to their daily lives from all the things that the government has done. My concern is studying human nature is twofold. One, the concept of too big to fail. When you tell people they are too big to fail, they will, because they know there is no responsibility to be incurred, no accountability if they do. Where is the stigma? Where is for the people who failed and put us in this mess? Where are the measures taken to ensure that they pay a price for their problems that they've put onto us? I don't see any. I don't see any at this point. My second part of the question is tied to that. These people thought that they could go on forever doing what they were doing. That it would just keep going, that the dot-com bubble was replaced by a housing bubble that would never end. Now we're talking about creating a government bubble to fix the housing bubble. But they never thought they were wrong. I asked you and Mr. Paulson once what happened. The answer was mistakes were made. Well, I understand human beings are fallible. But the problem is, if people think they're too big to fail or they're too important, the hubris that enters into the prognostications that they make and the actions that they take leads them to make very, very big mistakes. So my question is this. If these people were wrong and we are suffering the consequences of their bad decisions, if people like Mr. Greenspan, who has admitted he was wrong, have caused us to suffer the consequences of his bad decision. If, as you've written a book about the Great Depression, the people at the Federal Reserve were wrong, and the people at the time had to live with their bad decisions, what in the odd chance happens if you are wrong? What is your worst case scenario for the decisions and the actions that you've made and taken being incorrect? How will that affect the people who sent me here to work for them?
Well, let me just start first by saying something about too big to fail, and I just want to reiterate this once again, that's a too big to fail problem is an unacceptable problem. It needs to be addressed through tougher regulation, through resolution regimes, through other steps that will make fewer, and ideally no firms, too big to fail. That's critically important. I support that 100%. In terms of my own decision-making, I'm doing the best I can with limited information. This has been an extraordinary, unprecedented event. Many things have happened that we thought couldn't happen. It's been extraordinarily severe. We have not got complete grip of this thing yet. It's been 18 months already. I believe that the policies that the Federal Reserve is undertaking and the steps that the Treasury and others are proposing are the best methods for addressing these issues, and it's based not on pure guesswork, but on some knowledge of history and other countries' experience and so on. But certainly, it's possible that it won't be enough and that there'll be further problems down the road, and no way I can guarantee that, but certainly any policymaker, yourself included, has to make the best decisions available given the information and experience and knowledge that he or she has.
On that point, I appreciate that. But when you make a decision, you also have to look at the potential ramifications, what would happen if you are wrong. Given the unprecedented actions of the Fed and the unprecedented amounts that are being utilized, leaving aside the unprecedented amounts and actions that the federal government has taken to try to address this, you have to know what happens if you're wrong before you can make a decision to proceed and do what you think is right. And so my question is, if you are wrong, what did you foresee as being the consequences?
Well, some have raised the concern about inflation. If we don't get the balance sheet under control and the money supply under control in time at an appropriate moment, we could risk having higher prices down the road. Certainly a possibility. It's one we're very aware of and doing our best to manage. But, you know, nothing is certain, so that is one risk that I see. The other risk I would point out would be just that, you know, the efforts that are being made, including our attempts to stabilize key credit markets, prove insufficient, and the situation gets further, deteriorates further. Those are the things I can foresee. There must be things I can't foresee, but by definition, I don't know what they are.
Gentleman's time is